now we are going to start with the topic that what is thermochemical equation, right? See, all chemical equation, what information like is revealed by all chemical equations? It just revealed that what are the reactants and how the reactants just go, you can say form products. So in case of thermochemical reaction, we come to know about the conversion of reactant to product, and moreover we get the information regarding the energy exchanges, right? So that means we get the information regarding the delta H, like whether the heat is released or heat is energy is absorbed. See, for an exothermic reaction, suppose I'll write a reaction which is exothermic. So what is exothermic reaction? It is a reaction which is accompanied by the release of energy, right? So that means I'll just write a general example. A plus B gives AB, and along with that what we get? Heat. So this is an exothermic reaction. Likewise, suppose I am writing an example of one endothermic reaction. So what happens, like if I say that A and B when combined, they combine at the cost of absorbing heat and then they give rise to product, right? So that means in this the heat is released with the product, so it is an exothermic reaction. In this heat is absorbed by the reactant, so it is an endothermic reaction. So how the delta H value is going to change? See, when the heat is released, so that means delta H is going to be negative. But when you supply heat, that means delta H is going to be positive. So you have to keep in mind that under what conditions the delta H is negative or under what condition delta H is positive. So if somebody is going to ask you about thermochemical equation, what is that? It is a equation, it's a reaction which specifies the conversion of reactant to product, and moreover it gives the very important information, that it gives the information regarding the energy changes, right? And that is denoted something by delta H, that is the change in enthalpy. And if in case of exothermic it is always negative, and in case of all endothermic reaction it is always positive. There are few points which you have to keep in mind. See, the coefficients involved in reactions are actually the moles. The coefficient involved in the reactions are actually the moles. Suppose I write in this way, suppose I have AB2 and here I write 2 and this is also 2. So that means these two what indicates? These indicates the moles. That means coefficient indicates the moles. See, in this case, in case of thermochemical reaction, any change in the number of moles has a greater impact on the delta H. Suppose if I am going to multiply the equation by any number, say x, or whether I divide the equation by any number, say y, it is ultimately going to have impact on the delta H. By the same number, delta H is multiplied, or by the same amount, delta H is divided. So that means any change which is happening in the thermochemical equation has a, you can say, effect on the delta H. And likewise, if you reverse the reaction, if we reverse the reaction, the sign of delta H also reverses. Suppose if I say that A plus B forms AB and delta H is something minus X. Right. So for a reverse reaction, suppose AB forms A plus B, delta H is going to have the same value X but in the opposite sign. That means it will be positive X now, right. So if the reaction is exothermic in the forward reaction, so you have to keep in mind that in the backward direction it is going to be endothermic. Right. So that means the sign just gets reversed when we reverse the reaction. So this is what is the thermochemical equation or a reaction, right. Just the important part about that is that it gives us the information about the heat energy exchanges, that is the enthalpy change. Now we are starting with the topic heat capacity. The next topic is heat capacity. As you already know that I told you that if I wish to change the internal energy of the substance, I told you that we can change it by passing in or out the heat, or we can change it by doing work on the system or by the system, right. So that means by heat exchanging we can change the internal energy, right. It is the one of the factor that when we supply heat to the system or when we extract heat from the system, it is going to affect the internal energy, right. So delta U just gave the information regarding that the internal energy can be changed when we supply heat or when we extract heat. But actually it doesn't tell us that how much heat is supplied to raise its internal energy by how much amount, right? Because we knew that by Q can definitely change the internal energy, but how much Q can change the internal energy, we are not aware of that, right? So that is something, the heat capacity. So it is you can say we are in immediate need to learn this quantity, that is the heat capacity, because it gives us the information regarding that how much energy or how much Q is required to raise the temperature of the substance, or how much Q is needed to change the internal energy of the substance. So that is why we are studying the heat capacity. So see, when we wish to change the internal energy of the substance, obviously we have to supply it heat, and how much Q we have to supply it depends upon the directly proportional to the change in the temperature. Like if I want the change in temperature to be a greater extent, I have to supply it with more heat. If I want a little change in temperature, I have to supply it with a little heat. So on as a whole, I can say that Q is directly proportional to the change in the temperature. Removing proportionality sign, suppose I have a coefficient here and we have delta T. You know what actually is this coefficient? This coefficient is heat capacity. This coefficient indicates the heat capacity. So I can write that heat capacity is nothing but C. We will denote the heat capacity with the help of C. C is equal to Q upon T. That means the change in temperature. Right. Now, as we know that all the energy which we will be supplying should be used up in increasing the internal energy. That means the volume should remain constant. That means that energy which we are supplying or extracting should not affect the volume. Right. So that means this is occurring at constant volume. So I can write that heat capacity is nothing but the ratio of Q at constant volume to change in temperature. So this is what is the heat capacity. Now, there are many factors on which this heat capacity actually depends. See, heat capacity actually depends upon the nature of the substance, it depends upon the composition of the substance, it depends upon the amount of substance, and it will also depend upon the condition of temperature and pressure. I will write here. So on what factor this C depends actually? It depends upon the amount of substance, it depends upon the concentration of substance, composition of substance, and also the condition of temperature and pressure. So these are the factors on which the heat capacity actually depends. Suppose if I say I have this container and I have another container, in this I have a little amount of water and in this I have got a more amount of water. Right. So let's say both are at same temperature, let's say 10 degrees Celsius. Right. Now I am supplying the same heat, same amount of heat. They are initially at same temperature and I am supplying the same amount of heat. So what do I get to see after you can say a definite interval of time? I get to see that temperature of this rises to 45 degrees Celsius and in case of this it rises to 35 degrees Celsius. So that means what is the change? So overall change is 35 and this case overall change is 25. So this indicates that lesser is the amount, less is the heat capacity. More is the amount, more is the heat capacity. So this is what is the heat capacity. Now we can take the heat capacity as molar heat capacity also, right. So see, it is nothing but just in this case, like here we are supplying a, you can say heat to a general substance, here we will be supplying a heat to a 1 mole of substance. So molar heat capacity is nothing but amount of heat needed to change the temperature of 1 mole of substance. So when we take 1 mole, it becomes molar heat capacity. So in general, if somebody is going to ask you about heat capacity, what are you going to answer? You are going to answer that it is the amount of heat which is required to change the temperature of the substance. And when I say molar heat capacity, so it is the amount of heat required to change the temperature of 1 mole of a substance. So how we write this molar capacity? It is written as Cm and it is equal to C over N. What is the Cm? It is the molar heat capacity. And what is the C? It is heat capacity and this is the total number of moles. Right. So this is what is the molar heat capacity. But when I talk about specific heat capacity, then I am talking about a specific substance. So it means amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance. Here I have fixed the mass of the substance as 1 gram, but in this case and this case we just you can say fix the substance as 1 mole, but in this case we didn't fix any substance. But when we are talking about specific heat, we are fixing the substance mass as 1 gram. So it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of substance by 1 degree Celsius. So this is what is the specific heat capacity, and you know that this specific heat capacity is directly proportional to the mass, directly proportional to the change in temperature. So when we combine them, we get it is directly proportional to mass and rise in temperature. Removing proportionality sign, we put constant, and that is C. And what is this C? This is the specific heat capacity. So if somebody is going to ask you about heat capacity, so in general what you will answer, you will say that it is the amount of heat required to change the temperature of the substance. And when I ask you that what is the molar heat capacity, so it means amount of heat required to change the temperature of 1 mole of substance. And when I ask you about specific heat capacity, it is the amount of heat required to change the 1 gram of substance, and by the fixed temperature, that is the 1 degree Celsius. So this is what we have the heat capacity. Now you will be curious to know that there are actually, you will be shocked actually that there are two kind of heat capacities. One, heat capacity at constant pressure, heat capacity at constant volume. Because we have many processes in which are occurring at constant volume and which are occurring at constant pressure. So likewise, we have heat capacity at constant pressure and heat capacity at constant volume. So we can write, as we know that C is equal to Q upon T. Right. So I can write in this form, I can write that Qp is equal to Cp into delta T, and I can write in the same way Qv is equal to Cv into delta T. Right. So what we are going to do in this expression, I am just going to show you a relation between Cp and Cv. So when we will solve this relation, we are going to get the result Cp minus Cv is equal to R. But like for this moment you have to learn this, but we will be solving it. So just look at the board that how we relate this Cp minus Cv as R, or how their terms are actually related. So we have Qp as Cp into delta T, we have Qv into Cv into delta T. This indicates it is occurring at constant pressure, and the heat capacity again at constant pressure, and here we have heat energy at constant volume, and this thing heat capacity at constant volume. Right. So how we are going to do? Suppose we have delta H is equal to delta U plus delta PV. So here I am not going to put P delta V, because here we can change the pressure and even we can change the volume. Likewise, we can have constant pressure or we can have constant volume. So that is why I have put delta here, because either of the term can be there, right. So what we can write now? We have delta H is equal to delta U, and we know like it is for an ideal gas. So that means PV is equal to RT for 1 mole, So let us write it as delta RT. Simplifying it, what we get? Delta H is equal to delta U, R is constant obviously, so it becomes R delta T. Now we are in a position to write the value of delta H and delta U, because we know that delta H is nothing but it is equal to heat energy released or absorbed at constant pressure, and further this Qp is equal to heat capacity at constant pressure into change in temperature. Likewise, we have delta U is nothing but equal to heat energy released or absorbed at constant volume, which is equal to Cv into delta T. So now in places of delta H and delta H, this thing U, I am going to write these values. So what I can write? Cp into delta T, Cv into delta T plus R delta T, right. Taking delta T common, because we can take, because all three terms contain delta T. So what do we get? Right, delta T cancels delta T. So as a result we get Cp minus Cv is equal to R. So this is actually a relation by which you can relate the heat capacity at constant pressure with heat capacity at constant volume. I think you got it. It is just what you have to do, because we know that we can have Cp and Cv, and moreover we know that this thing delta H is equal to Qp and delta U is equal to Qv. So I just used the formula for the enthalpy and just go on solving. And what I did, you can say an important thing which you have to keep in mind, I put PV as RT, right. So when you will put that, you will get definitely a result, that is Cp minus Cv is equal to R.